Bangladesh, once lying under the depths of poverty and political crisis, now has a crazy economic growth rate of 7.1% and is set to become Asia's richest country. What forces are propelling Bangladesh's extraordinary economic growth? In this video, we will get into the fantastic journey of Bangladesh's rise to economic stardom. Stick around because we're about to connect the dots and discover shocking facts that might leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. In 1947, when India gained independence, East Bengal became part of Pakistan. However, the geographical separation from West Pakistan and cultural differences led to growing tensions. The people of East Bengal felt marginalized and underrepresented, leading to a profound yearning for autonomy. In 1971, Bangladesh's fight for independence, known as the Bangladesh Liberation War, climaxed. The conflict tested courage and resilience as Bengali fighters faced the Pakistani military. On December 16, 1971, Bangladesh emerged as an independent nation, and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared it a new independent country on the world's map. At that time, Bangladesh was facing a deeply challenging economic landscape. The numbers paint a stark picture. With a population of roughly 68 million, it was one of the most densely populated countries globally. The wreckage created by the conflict touched practically every facet of society. Roads, bridges, factories, and farmland were in ruins, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. Bangladesh had been hit by the deadliest tropical cyclone in recorded history just 4 months before the war broke out. 1/5 of the country was flooded, and 500,000 people perished as a result of this disaster. But it wasn't just the density of people that was a concern. It was the density of poverty. The average income per person, known as per capita income, hovered at a meager $50 to cover all their needs. The economic problems were made worse by the country's poor infrastructure. The roads were rough, there weren't enough transport options, and the communication networks weren't always effective. Moving people and goods was a struggle, making progress an uphill battle. As if these challenges weren't enough, Bangladesh grappled with a natural nemesis: frequent floods and devastating cyclones. These disasters wreaked havoc, causing widespread damage to homes and infrastructure and claiming countless lives. It was a relentless battle against the forces of nature. In August 1975, a violent military coup killed Mujibur and most of his family. His 2 daughters, studying in Europe then, were the only ones who made it out alive. It was a big change in the political scene in Bangladesh that further added to Bangladesh's crisis. The government knew that things had to change, so starting in late 1975, it slowly began to give the private sector a bigger part of the economy. Bangladesh entered a new era with this change. When the Dhaka Stock Exchange reopened in 1976, it made room for growth. The government also set up export processing zones, special economic zones meant to bring in investors and boost export businesses. These zones would play a pivotal role in the country's export-driven economy. In the 1980s, strong local names like Pran came on the scene, and Muhammad Yunus started a groundbreaking experiment with microcredit. Bangladesh was one of the first places to offer microloans when the Grameen Bank opened in 1983. In the middle of the 1980s, essential policy changes made it easier for exporters in the industry sector. Back-to-back letters of credit and duty drawback facilities for bonded warehouses took away a lot of problems for the clothing business, which was growing quickly. Thanks to these changes, Bangladesh is now the world's 2nd largest clothing exporter. The 1990s produced political instability that periodically delayed economic changes, in contrast to the 1980s promise. The government's attention switched from the economy to domestic political difficulties, such as tensions between political parties due to the frequent hartals and strikes. These problems and the decline in FDI made it challenging to maintain reform over the long term. However, from 2001 to 2006, annual GDP growth averaged between 5% and 6%, and various economic liberalization measures were established. In the 1990s, the private sector flourished as new companies entered the banking, communications, aviation, and higher education markets. The steel mills largely satisfied domestic demand, and the pharmaceutical and ceramics industries aided shipbuilding. Agriculture in Bangladesh has also been the backbone of the country's economy for years. It's not just a source of income and employment, it also plays a crucial role in addressing primary macroeconomic objectives like poverty reduction, food security, and human resources development. Agriculture employs approximately 42.7% of the country's workforce and contributes significantly to its GDP, accounting for 14.2% in 2017. Moving beyond agriculture, Bangladesh's manufacturing and industry sectors have shown impressive growth. The ready-made garment industry in particular has created numerous jobs, especially for women. By the late 1990s, around 1.5 million people, primarily women, were employed in this sector. In 2018, Bangladesh earned $36.67 billion from exporting manufactured goods, with 83.49% coming from the apparel manufacturing sector. The sector has contributed significantly to the economy and impacted women's economic capabilities and empowerment. Statistics like the Human Development Index, literacy rates, life expectancy, and per capita food consumption have all increased in the recent decade while poverty rates have decreased. The unemployment rate dropped from 80% in 1971 to 12% in 2021, and more than 15 million individuals escaped poverty then. As a result of export-led growth, Bangladesh achieved a trade surplus in recent years. The country's dependence on foreign aid and imports decreased, with foreign aid accounting for only 2% of GDP. The country invested in building infrastructure, liberalizing regulations, and promoting high-yielding crops in agriculture. Rural road networks expanded, connecting villages with cities and fostering economic growth. Bangladesh also achieved significant progress in other sectors, becoming the world's second-largest textile exporter. The textile industry accounted for millions of jobs, while the pharmaceutical and ceramics industries supplied significant chunks of the home market. Supermarkets were increased nationwide, and transportation and commerce ties between regions were pushed forward. The shipbuilding industry has also been growing in Bangladesh, holding the potential to compete with countries like China, Japan, and South Korea. The country boasts the world's largest shipbreaking industry, employing over 200,000 Bangladeshis and providing half of all steel in Bangladesh. Bangladesh's tourism sector is also gradually gaining momentum, with predictions that it will generate more jobs. As for information technology, the country has seen significant growth in recent years, with many internet users and mobile phone customers. In 2022, Bangladesh achieved several milestones, with the Padma Bridge opening and the country experiencing 100% household electricity coverage. Mega projects like the Dhaka Metro, Matarbari Port, and Karnafuli Tunnel were planned to stimulate economic activity. The completion of Padma Bridge was expected to boost the country's GDP. Since 2009, Bangladesh's real GDP has grown by at least 7% annually, making it one of the world's fastest-growing economies. In 2022, the country's foreign exchange reserves were the second greatest in South Asia. Regarding per capita income, it also outperformed India and Pakistan. Bangladesh's development is evident despite obstacles, including the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on the country's foreign exchange reserves. The investment climate in Bangladesh has been attracting attention, with various countries and corporations looking to invest in different sectors. Major projects in oil and gas, power, transportation, and other areas have been initiated, with Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Tata, Samsung, and many others showing interest in investing in the country. Needless to say, Bangladesh will continue its progress toward a better and more wealthy future as long as its leaders maintain their current emphasis on economic development and investment.